Virgo, welcome to Illuminated Tarot. My name is Jenna. Today I'm here to do your reading for December 25th through the 31st. We're finally in the last week of the year. I can't believe it. This is for Virgo, Sun, Moon, Rising, or Venus placements. Please only take what resonates today, okay? Thank you for tuning in and sharing this space with me. Thank you for all the support you give to this channel. I want to thank Spirit too for presiding over this reading. We're going to jump right into your oracle messages and then get into your tarot spread. Let's see what Spirit has to say for the week ahead. What is your higher guidance saying for the week, last week of the year, Virgo? Okay. Grand Symphony, Call of the Muse. The power of purpose. Ooh, this feels very work related. I've been picking up a lot in your readings that you're a very hard worker. Everyone knows that about Virgos. I think this is you tying together perhaps a new teamwork effort in your career and being guided to create something. I think you even have a new muse in your life or an existing muse, someone who brings out this desire to build a better life. Okay, a grand symphony is the culmination, right, of being part of a whole and knowing that you're connected so deeply to all that is, right? It's a very deeply spiritual card, knowing that when you keep this in your consciousness, right, the unity consciousness, that it is the end of all division and separation. So you are being guided to consider this when it comes to a muse in your life, maybe some that you've put on a pedestal, right? We have the number 31, breaks down to 4. You could have a commitment with someone who brings out their creative, I guess, juices in you. But what I'm getting more so is that this is about being in the flow, okay? Being in the flow. So this week, especially, you need to be in the flow and recognize when you connect to this collective consciousness, there are beautiful, beautiful things that you can create in this world. This is the intent, I believe, that a lot of you are creating in this world, whatever it is that you do out in the world. And then we have the power of purpose with number 18, very similar to the wheel, right? The karmic wheel of fortune. This is about having a clear sense of your purpose, right? Really having healthy self-esteem and seeing your unique place in the world. So you're shifting and changing how you see yourself and around what you're creating, especially in the collective consciousness and tapping into that beautiful energy. This is about your own creative expression and growth in that, all right? Believing in that, okay? Spirit is encouraging to be confident in your creations, okay? Because you're creating a purpose. You have a purpose in this world, Virgo. I do believe a lot of you watching this are highly creative individuals. Maybe some of you are artists. And you could be seeing something really come together, especially as you build something new or create a teamwork environment around it. Maybe you're building a new team in your life. Ooh, okay. This is the recent past. There's some stress going on in a connection, but I do see things improving if you're willing to keep the faith. All right. Yeah, there's some blocks that you're trying to weed through right now, okay? Something that has you a bit in the mental space, overthinking something. Two of Swords is self-deception or being deceived or not wanting to see the truth of the situation. Let's go into the challenge. Yeah, equal give and take, and you're up in your head about something. What you don't see coming is the Queen of Swords. Again, the need to get creative. The need to get creative around whatever. You could be going through a creative block or some sort of block that you've been dealing with in something that is whatever you're deeply committed to. There's some sort of block going on that you are working through. And the challenge is about, am I in a situation where what I'm giving, I'm actually receiving? Okay. The reciprocity. There's something about mutual reciprocity threading through this entire reading, Virgo, that you are stumbling on. Recent past, we have the Eight of Cups, the Eight of Pentacles, and the Star. So I do believe that you are working very hard on whatever it is your big dream is. It could have to do with someone by your side, but also is what you're deeply committed to create in your work environment. So this is both professional and personal. I think you've definitely been upset about some of the things that are not aligning, right? This isn't aligning with my vision, okay? And so you're definitely being guided to not overthink something. There's pain around, there's a wound and there's pain that is being triggered in a connection. It's also tied into how you see yourself in your career. I don't know why they're interlinked. You could have someone that you're in a commitment with that is with you at work as well. There's an overlap going on here. And while in the past, you're being guided, right, to continue to work hard in your craft, there's something that is upsetting you, almost interfering with your work life. There's something interfering with your work life, almost like your dream and their dream are not aligning. There's some strife there. Currently, we have the 9 of Wands, the 3 of Swords, and the 4 of Wands. So as you were working on building a more happy home life, you're really in your head about it. You're in your head about something that's causing you pain. And the more you think about it, the greater stress it's causing and the more confusion. You do realize that you need to start from a fresh perspective and have more hope in a situation. And you are tying up a previous cycle in a connection, and you're waiting on that green light, right? In a connection where the confusion is going to dissipate and things are going to settle down, okay? Let's go deeper into this and find out why the 2 of Swords is here. And we'll find out what's going on with this mutual reciprocity too. Why you're being guided. I feel like instead of that being more of a logical approach there with the Queen of Swords, it's more like you're getting creative with how to handle this. All right, let's see, Virgo. It's almost like you're reaching a crescendo. You're realizing your purpose in this world, I think, this past year. You're definitely inspired, right? In your work life. So something dampening things. I'm not sure what that dampening is. Disappointment, arguments, not seeing eye to eye, not being on the same page. Yeah. This 2 of Swords, this block we started out with, what is this block going on inside of you? It's about really assessing the way you're seeing a connection. You are putting in effort. The Ace of Pentacles, the Empress, and the 7 of Pentacles. You're putting a hell of a lot of effort into someone. I do believe this is someone that you see. Male, female, doesn't matter. You want to nurture a connection, but it's almost, there's something blocking the ability for you to nurture it. You're looking at this and you're recognizing, I think, this week how you're standing in the way of a connection, or perhaps how someone else is standing in the way of a connection truly flourishing. There's a reevaluation going on about, almost like this is not satisfying me where we're at right now. The state of affairs is, right? Let's go into the past here, because it's definitely informing the present. What's this 8 of Cups? Page of Pentacles. Well, there you have it. Started out that way. This connection. We have the Page of Pentacles, the Devil, and the Lover. So you, I think that you went in with the best of intentions and the best of hopes in a situation, but you may have attracted someone who was walking away from something else, and they have been carrying that with them the entire time. And it's almost like you decided to attach yourself to an energy that you knew going in that you would have to wait for them to catch up to where you were. But while you're waiting for where they were needing to be, you were coping with where they really were. And it really caused a lot of pain and confusion. And you had to overgive to compensate. Someone can't give to you equally. You start compensating for that. And then you get into dynamic where you're like, wow, they're not really showing up in the way that I really want them to. Oh, here we go. Throwing cards. We got the Wheel of Fortune falling down over the star, 7 of Swords, and the 8 of Swords. So it goes from the 7 to the 8. So as time has gone on, the changes that you were hoping that would occur in this situation, we'll call commitment. It's the fear has been predominantly woven through this connection from the start. And it's almost like you're constantly hypervigilant to that fear being clicked, poked. You're so hypervigilant to that fear now that you're almost entrapped by it. And it's clouding over what you believe. It's like you can't even tell now. But in the past, you got yourself involved in a situation where you were sacrificing yourself from the start. And now you're sitting there going, why did this happen? Well, you got to trace it back. Let's see, what is all this work you're putting in? Yeah. It's like the more you give, Page of Cups, Ace of Cups, the more you feel like they won't accept it. It's like you're now reaching that critical point. You're like, no matter how much I put into this, it's still not enough. No matter how much I put into this, Jenna, it's still never enough. Well, I found out about an interesting thing the other day called limerence. And if you don't know what that says, it's Limerence. I was floored by it. And it is this word that is used for when you start to create the idea of someone, right, versus how they really are. And then you're actually in a war between the two perspectives over, well, this is the reality, but I'm actually more inclined to want this fantasy, this illusion of them showing up XYZ. And then when they don't show up in that way, it causes all this disruption inside. Stress, pain, hurt, anxiety, worry. Well, did you accept the way things were in the very beginning, how things really were? Or did you create a fantasy, put someone up on a pedestal, and you believe that they would eventually get there if you just gave enough and didn't give up? Hey, I've done it. We all do it. It's catching ourselves doing it, right? What's the reality and what's the fantasy here? Yep. Because we have the Two of Pentacles, the Four of Wands over the Ace of Swords. So you're starting to recognize, wow, this connection is really stressing me out. And the more I try to control it, the less control I have. Because you're trying to fit it into a box that it was never in to begin with. It's created some pain, sweetheart. All you want is to bring things back into balance. But the more you try to control it, the less it has control over you. You have the Nine of Wands, the Emperor of Temperance. So you're trying to come back into balance. You're recognizing all the ways that this has disappointed you. And it's like, if I could just control it, if they could just be the way I want them to be. Well, unfortunately, I will say that 3 times. It just doesn't work that way. Love doesn't work that way. It's about accepting the way someone is. And that's the hardest freaking thing in the world to do. Yep. Because you care about this person. You want this situation to last. You have an extraordinary amount of passion towards this. The Knight of Cups, the Page of Wands, and the Queen of Wands over the Four of Wands. So currently, you want this person like nobody's business. But it's like, does your fantasy match with the reality? Because you can live inside of that vacuum, right? But it's not the reality. I think it's taking you a lot of strength to recognize, well, okay, well, how do I change this? Okay? And this is about coming out of the illusion, right? Of who you want someone to be. Accepting the way things are, having faith and hope, right? This is a brand new beginning you're jumping into here. But you're confused, I think, about how to start over in your mind over loving this person, accepting them for who they are, and not trying to fit into the person you wanted them to be when you met them or thought they would become. Because once you start doing that comparison game, it's a lose-lose, my friend. All right. Okay. The challenge is getting to equal give and take. We have 2 6 of Pentacles on the board here with the Chariot and the 6 of Wands. So you are getting it. Like, I feel like you have started to realize, wait a minute, I met someone and there's a lot of blocks here in the way. And now you're being guided to pull your energy back. I think that you've realized that the more I overgive to this and the more I try to compensate for what they're not giving, the more I'm trying to control, and it's a false sense of control. It's an illusion. So I think you're starting to recognize that when you release control and you pull your energy back from a state of overgiving or a state of living in a fantasy world and constantly comparing to them, to a version of them that they aren't, then you start to experience true acceptance. And then you're actually loving who they are now, not who you want them to be. I know this might be very confusing, but we do this all the time with people. We see what we want to see, and then we start realizing, wait a minute, this isn't really the reality. So I do believe that the challenge here is to pull back, release control, and to let them give you who they are and show you who they are. And if that still is a mess and not enough, then at least you're dealing with the reality and not trying to make them fit into some false person that they never were. Yes. In order to come out of this block, you are trying to come it's like you are really digging deep, Virgo. You're trying so hard to come into a state of balance and to recognize the ways that you blocked your perception from the very beginning here. This block, this Two of Swords with the King of Swords, the Queen of Cups, and the Two of Swords over the Seven of Cups. So this is about coming out of denial, coming out of confusion. Accepting, right? The version of someone with love, right? And acceptance. Versus the version you have in your head of them, which is not real, which is false. Yep. Yes. You're still defending this overall. It's like you keep telling me that we just need to start over. We just need to start over and everything will get better. I'm deeply invested in this with the High Priestess, the Ten of Pentacles, and the Seven of Wands. So it's like you're fighting for the hope that this is everything you could have ever wanted, end all be all, mic drop, this is the person. Okay? But are you listening to your intuition? Hey, I support this, but is your intuition telling you that? Or is that your defensiveness over the foolishly in love person saying that, right? Are you seeing the way it really is or the way you want it to be? And that's for you. That's for you to determine. Yeah. You got a tower up ahead, sweetheart, because you're starting to realize, oh man, this is about me. I've been worried so much about them this whole time, trying to control them. And now I realize I created this whole fantasy in my head over this person. And now I've got to heal this aspect of myself that goes straight to limerence, right? And I understand what this is. It's like you live inside of this fantasy world over who you want someone to become eventually. And when they're not showing you that person, it's like you can't reconcile the two. So you're starting to realize that I have got to let go of what this is in my head. It's like you're really starting to understand that your new beginning in this is to start to accept the reality of the way things are and then determining if it's what you want. What you don't see coming. Yeah. The stability of this connection really rests and relies upon you being deeply committed to stabilizing, not being like rushing towards who you want this person to be. I believe that you're coming to a head in your awareness, right? And this reading, if you found this reading, it's here for a reason. You have been living in a state of limerence over a connection. And are you willing to release the fantasy? Okay? I do believe this is someone that you are committed to. And you've been wrestling with the version that they're showing you from day to day, with the version that you've created in your mind, that you wanted them to be, who they really even weren't when you met them. And we do this all the time in relationships, where you fall for the illusion, right? More so than the actual here and now. So try to bring it back down to reality, and then you're working with that. And if you don't, then you're constantly going to be fighting yourself over a fantasy. And this person, what you want to do is pull them closer, but it actually makes them go further apart because they don't feel accepted. It's like, well, you're just trying to get me to conform to what you want me to be. So I'm sure you've had a lot of conflict around that whole concept. And I apologize if any Sag is seeing this. I did not get your advice from Spirit. Sorry, Sag. But I feel like I got to that message and maybe there was no advice needed. But I feel like, Virgo, let's get some advice real quick. And we're going to wrap it up. Check out Limerence. It's going to change everything for you. Yeah. You are now starting to realize that in order for you to create happiness, fulfillment, you've got to drop this conflict going on. It's a mental conflict that you have. Trying to control something, right? To fit into a false reality. We do it all the time, especially with people that we have a very strong attraction to, who we feel a deep soul bond with. And there's this whole element. We have the 3 of Wands, the 10 of Cups. It's like you need to be patient as you unravel this experience, right? This thread, right? Where you've been tugging at it and tugging at it and tugging at it. And now it's a matter of, whoa, you're starting to realize the ways you've sabotaged this connection, right? And now you're willing to like look at it for what it is. And as long as you pause and you catch yourself and you're not falling for the fantasy, right? Oh, this is a happily ever after, right? And trying to get them to fit that. Then you're actually in the here and now. So I do believe that you're being called. It's so interesting that you started with this call of the muse. Yes, it's beautiful to be inspired by somebody, but don't take it to that mental state where you're putting them on a pedestal and they're having to live up to a version of themselves that they will never achieve, especially by you trying to control it. Okay? All right. I hope this message helped. Limerence is a very complicated subject. I'm still learning about it myself. It's interesting that it came up in your reading. Check it out when you get some time. Google it, look it up on YouTube. There's a lot of people out there talking about it, giving really helpful guidance around it and the ways that you can stop doing that, okay? Because there's their part and there's your part. Yes, if they have not shown up equally, you got to look at that. But how are you trying to control them showing up equally, all right? And fitting into the version of them you want them to be, okay? This is about acceptance of how you deal with another energy, right? And dropping the need to create an artificial reality. Okay? All right, Virgo, I hope this helps. I'll see you in the next one.